Hey folks, back with another video. Let's dive into what stories got my attention today. Starting with Taiwan. Now, recently, the US approved a weapon sales to Taiwan, which obviously riled up Beijing. Now, the whole arms sale deal is worth around 1.8 billion US dollars, and it includes 135 AGM-84H cruise missiles with a striking range of more than 270 kilometers or 168 miles, and 11 truck-based rocket launchers along with 64 tactical missiles that can hit targets 300 kilometers away. Now also covered are the 6 MS-110 Risey external sensor pods, which would greatly increase the air surveillance capability of the Taiwan's forces. Now, another highlight of the sale was the AGM-84H cruise missiles, which not only have a relatively long range but a capacity and accuracy of hitting targets from land and sea. Now, of course, on Thursday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman spoke. The Chinese Foreign Minister Zhao Lijian, of course, lashed out at Washington for, quote, seriously violating the One China principle and the three communiques, end quote, that underlie the American relations with the mainland. Now, on the whole, I think that the U.S. did the right thing by selling weapons to Taiwan, especially in the current circumstances where Beijing has been openly belligerent in the recent months. I think this action alone goes far in creating a credible threat when dealing with Beijing in the future. Hopefully, we would not need to use this credible threat. Moving on, it seems that Kyrgyzstan's parliament has voted to delay the election as it's awaiting a constitutional reform which was prompted by the acting president Sadir Japarov, a move that I think will boost his chance of staying in as a full-time leader. Now, Japarov has sought to change the national charter, which bars him from becoming full-time president. Now, Parliament agreed on Thursday to delay the new parliamentary election scheduled for December 20th. Now, until after the proposed constitutional reform have gone through. Now, the Thursday's vote showed that Japarov had enough supporters in the legislature to trigger a referendum that could delay or change the rules for the presidential poll, which is due by mid-January. Now, the exact contents of the proposed reform packages are yet to be made public. The Parliament also voted on Thursday to make the next parliamentary election more open by lowering the threshold for parties to gain seats to 3% instead of the previously 7%. On aside, Japarov also reassured Moscow this month that it would remain the number one partner and there would be no change to the terms on which Russia maintains a military base, which of course confirms the recently I covered this, which is that it seemed that both China and Russia seem to be fine with how things played out in Kyrgyzstan. They didn't seem to protest too much to these things. So I think this is just a confirmation that their whatever fears they might have had have been to a greater extent calmed, and that their relations will continue as normal as they can be. Now, moving on in the news, the award for the Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought, which is a EU Rights Prize, was awarded to the democratic opposition in Belarus as well as civil society activists, and it includes the exiled opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who had visited the European Parliament in September. Now, the European Union does not at this moment recognize Lukashenko as the legitimate president of Belarus, as it considers the elections were, quote, neither free nor fair. Now, on Wednesday, the European Parliament adopted a set of recommendations regarding the European Union's relations with Belarus, including that it recognized the Coordination Council initiated by Ms. Tikhanovskaya as the legitimate representative of the people in the country. However, one thing that needs to be pointed out as a matter of historical significance is that this award has been given to Belarus three times. The first time in 2004, it went to the Belarusian Association of Journalists, and in 2006 to the opposition politician Alexander Milinkevich. Now, obviously, this move by the EU is definitely going to ruffle some feathers with the Belarus regime, but we'll see how they react. Moving on, the Lebanese President Michel Aoun on Thursday asked former Prime Minister Saad Hariri to form the country's next government amid a multitude of political and economic crises, which were exacerbated by the blast at the Beirut port. Now, the move comes after Mr. Hariri secured enough support in parliamentary talks. Now, keep in mind that he resigned almost exactly a year ago as a result of nationwide protest against his government of corruption and mismanagement, along with a faltering economy. Now, he received support from his future lawmakers, the Shia Amal group, the largest Sunni bloc, a small Christian party, and independent. It seems that Lebanon has come full circle. With the return of Saad Hariri as the new prime minister, it seems that Lebanon is going to basically play out the same events that have transpired in the whole year. Hopefully, he has learned lessons and he will rule differently from the last time. Moving on to some a little bit more positive news is that the Israel and Sudan are they are on the verge of establishing diplomatic ties which were brokered by the US, something I covered in the previous video. Now the announcement will seems likely come after the US President Donald Trump, Sudan's transitional leader Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have a phone call, according to the Walla News site, and I believe it's most likely to iron out the wording of the announcement so they get the wordings right. Now, the breakthrough comes after high-level Israeli-US delegation was reportedly had traveled to Sudan on Wednesday for covert negotiations on the normalization of ties between Khartoum and Jerusalem. Now, according to Israel's Hayom, the Wednesday trip was in a business jet between Tel Aviv and Khartoum, and in it were officials from the Mossad intelligence agency and Prime Minister's office, which visited Sudan for talks. Now, during the meetings with their Sudanese counterparts, the senior officials reached a final agreement on forging Israeli-Sudanese ties. While Sudan has still got a lot of work in its hand in order to sell this deal to its people. Very difficult task indeed. But I wish them all the success. The more peace this region can see, hopefully, the more we can see prosperity as a result. Well, that's it for this video. If you like the video, then hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for future updates. Write in the comments your thoughts, criticisms, and anything I might have missed. And I will see you in the next video.